Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has used a meeting with Palestinian leader Rami Hamdallah to emphasise Australia's commitment to a two-state solution for Israel and the Palestinians. When asked by reporters, the Prime Minister declined to comment on whether he believes Israeli settlement building undermines a two-state solution, but he said he did raise the issue with the Israeli Prime Minister. Jamie Hyams is a senior policy analyst with the Australia, Israel and Jewish Affairs Council, and he joins us now from Melbourne. Hi there, Jamie. What was your view overall of the visit?
Well, the visit was obviously quite productive. It's unfortunate that it had to be truncated in the first place, but I think he got through quite a bit. Some very productive meetings and got to hear both sides of the story over there.
And how did you feel about Malcolm Turnbull's visit to the occupied West Bank and meeting Palestinian leaders?
I think it's important that, for there to be a two-state peace, obviously both sides need to negotiate and compromise, and it's important that if we want to have any role in facilitating that we hear from both sides. So I think it was appropriate. And I certainly hope that Mr Turnbull expressed to the Palestinians, as well as his support, his welcome support for a two-state peace, that he feels that it is important for both sides to negotiate and to be prepared to compromise and to do so in good faith for that peace to actually happen.
He did repeat his support for a two-state solution in the region during that visit to the West Bank. Is that at all frustrating for you?
That he said that?
Yeah.
No, not at all. No, I think it's important that he should be, the only way there is going to be peace in the Middle East in that area is for there to be a two-state peace. So I think it's important that he reiterated his support for that.
And has this visit pushed that forward?
I don't know, because you've got to look at the factors that are holding up the peace at the moment. And people talk a lot about settlements, and as you said, Mr Turnbull raised that with the Israeli Prime Minister. But the fact is that the settlements only cover about 2% of the West Bank, as has been admitted by even Saeb Erekat, who's the Palestinian chief negotiator. And most Israeli settlers live in areas that it is widely accepted that in any two-state peace they'll end up going to Israel as part of land swaps. So settlements are certainly an issue that need to be resolved between the sides, but they're not the hold-up to peace. The hold-up to peace is the fact that the Palestinian Authority has in the past walked away from or rejected offers of statehood which would have actually given them what they claim to want, and recently has been basically refusing to even negotiate. And instead they're pushing for this unilateral recognition. And Mr Turnbull has made it clear that he's not in favour of unilateral recognition, and that is the right stance to take. Because when you've got one side that is being completely recalcitrant, giving them what they want anyway is the last thing you want to do, because that's the least thing that's going to make them likely to actually move forward with the process.
The Prime Minister made a comment while he was in Israel that Australia shares values with Israel. And we had Amin Sarkar, head of the Centre of Peace and Conflict Studies at the ANU, on the news channel a little earlier today. He said that that is an insult to Australia, that Australia doesn't occupy other people's territories, it hasn't locked up lots of people, it doesn't interrogate a lot of people. What's your response to that?
Well, Amin Sarkar has a certain view on the Middle East, which certainly demonstrates that he's not a neutral observer. But the fact is that if you look at the countries in the Middle East, Israel is the only country in the Middle East that shares our values, our egalitarianness, our respect for the rule of law, our democratic values. You name one other country in the Middle East where you can have gay pride processions, for example, where every citizen, regardless of race and gender, has equal rights. Israel is really the only one. So it's absolutely correct to say that that Israel shares our Australian values. And if Australia was in a situation where we were subject to terrorist attacks from adjoining territories, I think we would have to act much in the way that Israel is, and so would any other country.
Just staying on the visit, for now, the Palestinians disappointed that they weren't invited to events marking 100 years since the Battle of Sheba. Do you think they had a right to be there?
Look, I think it's a strange thing, because on the one hand they're saying that they should be regarded as a separate country, and then on the other hand they're saying they should be invited to another country's commemorations. Now, certainly there were members of the Arab population that were involved on both sides of the war. There were Arab regiments fighting with the Ottomans, there were other Arabs that were against them, but Israel has a population of about 1.5 million Arabs, and I'm sure they were represented at the ceremony.
But they make the point that Israel didn't exist when the Beersheba campaign and action happened.
No, that's true, but there was no Palestinian state either. There was an Ottoman Empire. And I'm not sure that we invited Turks either. We may have, I don't know. But, the situation was very different. But I guess the important thing with the Battle of Beersheba is that what it led to, it was a very important breakthrough. It led to the fall of what was then Palestine to the British, which in turn led to the British Mandate, which in turn led to the League of Nations Mandate, which in turn led to the creation of a Jewish state there. So the Battle of Beersheba is actually, although there was no Israel at the time, it's certainly a very, very important event in the history of the establishment of the modern state of Israel, the return of the Jews to their homeland.
And just finally, Jamie, there's a growing push within the Labour Party to recognise a state of Palestine. How concerned are you with the direction in which the party's going?
Yeah, look, I must admit it is very concerning, and I suspect it has political reasons, as even Julia Gillard said in her book when she was talking about Bob Carr and others' stance on recognising a Palestinian state. But it is very concerning because it's counterproductive. As I said before, you're only going to get peace when the two sides negotiate and are prepared to compromise in good faith. And if you're giving one of the sides, which is the recalcitrant side, what they want without them having to negotiate, then they're not going to do so. So we would prefer that the Labor Party sticks with the line that's been put by its leaders, Mr Shorten and Senator Wong, that we will recognise a Palestinian state once there is a two-state peace. That would be the appropriate time to do so.
Jamie Hyams, thank you.
Thanks very much.